Welcome to a very hot, just above 90 degrees North Carolina day in our forest of our homestead. In today's episode, we're going to show you how to upcycle an old mirror, save hundreds of dollars in the process, and have a personalized, custom-made outcome for your project or to give a gift for a friend. This is going to be a beginner's episode, so you have every detail of the build so you can make it yourself. If you're an experienced woodworker, you're welcome to watch this episode, but you might not have a lot to learn out of this. However, if you're now starting woodworking and you need to learn how to custom make things, this is the episode of you. Please stick around. We're going to give you tips and tricks and show you in great detail how we completed this process. So I think you're going to find a great value in our episode. Welcome to the Urban Homesteading channel. I am your host, Professor DIY. Behind the camera is Elpida, and somewhere around here Mrs. DIY. And you are my favorite viewer. So for today's project, we actually need our assembly table, which has been some time since you last saw, and that actually is true for us as well.
Yep.
It has been covered with crap.
Tools and remnants of projects.
Crap. And we are going to do some interesting things today. Have you looked to buy a mirror these days? A simple mirror, a pane of mirror. They are $100 and $150, like
$300 if it's decorated on the
right.
edge.
So we need one, but we also need our money. So instead of buying a mirror for $300, we bought a mirror in a frame
Easy.
for $30 or $20.
This cost us $5.
$5.
Yeah,
At a
secondhand store.
Now,
secondhand store.
this is not what we want, however. We just want the mirror. So we're going to perform an operation to remove the mirror from its existing home.
Surgery.
Surgery. And then we are going to, of course, reassemble the mirror.
Decorate it to your liking. And as part of that, what is back there?
The other ridiculousness is that these are fairly easy to find unless you look at them at any other color than this. And we want them black. So we're going to transform them to black by painting them. Again, we use Rust-Oleum because we like Rust-Oleum. We are not sponsored by Rust-Oleum. We spend our hard-earned money to buy this. And we're going to show you the very straightforward process of how to take this and make it any color you really like. So in today's episode, we are going to make a custom mirror, save a couple of $100 in the process, and have exactly what we want and need. So stick around because this is going to be a very good episode.
Mosquito expelling granules.
Oh.
I'm gonna spray it over the yard.
So this is to get rid of the critters that like us a lot.
Oh, do they ever love us?
And we do.
We haven't used it before. I asked the guy at the hardware store and he said he wasn't familiar with it, but he thought it might do as well as anything else.
Okay. And we do have the electric mosquito machine over here going, which you're supposed to put far away from your proximity where you're working so that they're drawn there and not to you, which works pretty well, but backing it up with some more
Protection.
some more stuff is gonna be good. They like me and Mrs. DIY a lot, and we don't like them.
Not. So we have a pack of 4 of these brackets. They're just they're called corner braces, meant to stabilize something that you're putting together on a corner. Oops. And we're just gonna use what we found, and we figured that the spray paint is going to stick to it a little easier if we go ahead and rough up the surface. So I've got some sandpaper here. It's used, obviously, but that's okay. We're gonna just mark it up. Give it something surface to stick to.
And we'll do the same thing to the screws, the head of the screws, so that they match that as well. And then the easy trick for when you are painting screws is to put them in something like your cardboard so they stand up and don't roll around, and you can get them all black. And we'll show you what that looks like when we come back and are ready to paint.
If it'll stay still.
Yeah, and just like we said, we had put all of the screws into that cardboard so they will stay stationary, and you can paint the tops of them so that they'll match the brackets. I'm going to come in with some black paint now and show you what that looks like.
You need to come behind. All the thing is coming on your face.
And you think you're going to do like 2 coats on this?
Maybe.
And again, we did use sandpaper to scuff those up so that the paint will adhere. Here's what they look like right now. It's pretty toasty, so they probably won't take long to dry, and we'll be able to come back and assess whether it needs another coat.
With that hardware removed, the next step will be removing the backer board, which we intend to reuse, right? So the best tool for that is this tool, which is technically a trim removal tool, but you put under where your pins are, as you can see, and it does a very good job removing them.
It just pops it up.
Okay?
So now all the way around this to remove that backer board, and we'll come back and show you.
Mrs. DIY is removing the backboard, and Peter is removing another piece of hardware we do not need. And you need to make sure you remove all the hardware you don't need, right?
Yep.
So Mrs. DIY is almost done with this. Right, Mrs. DIY?
Yep, one more side.
So if you have the right tool, this is not a very difficult process, correct?
No, not at all.
And again, we're a little more careful because we plan to reuse that. But if we were to damage it, or what you purchase doesn't have one, you can actually buy one of those, right? This is called the backer board, and it can be purchased in any major box store. This is an optional step just in our case, because we plan to move this assembly. No, shoot, all the way up and down. We're going to tape the mirror because now without the backer board, there is nothing to hold the mirror in. And we need the mirror to be held in.
And it seems kind of counterintuitive. Why did we take the backer off and now we're trying to hold it in place again? And that's because we wanted the exact dimensions of the mirror.
Correct.
So that we can build our new frame correctly.
As correctly as we can possibly do it. Because we plan to move this from our table, because that's the only large surface we have to build a mirror this size, a mirror frame this size, correct? After painstaking calculations, we have our dimensions. Our mirror is 40 1/8 by 30. Those are the dimensions of the mirror. Our desired size of the frame is 42 by 33, and we have settled to this orientation, which means we need to cut two 26-inch pieces and two 42-inch pieces. So we have our cut list right now. So our next step is to do this cut.
All right, so we've got our first piece that we're going to cut right at 42. And we're just going to give it a little mark.
And this is an instance you have to measure, right? I mean, this is...
Yep, you have to measure.
I don't
And-
think you will correctly. Yeah, I thought it was more flexible.
We're good.
And now we're going to go to the chop saw, cut the first piece, and then use the first piece to cut the second piece.
Button and then
So again, after making the first cut, we use that first to measure out the second one. We'll get the blade and do that.
So we're using our dado stack blade to create the channels we need. You can also use, of course, a router or any other method you have at your disposal.
And so what we're doing right now is we measured to our depth of what we needed to make this frame and to make the mirror fit into the frame. And we measured out that from the dado stack to our, what is this called?
Fence.
Fence, yes. And that's where we started, and now we're incrementally bringing it closer and closer, and so that's what you're seeing here in each side. We've cut it a little bit close, so we're going to have to take like a chisel and clean this up a little bit, but that's okay. And then as we get closer to, you're seeing that we're taking it out each, so we probably have two more passes on this.
Yeah.
And we're
So we measured the distance from the edge that we wanted, as well as the depth of where the mirror will sit.
Right.
And we have two sides, so we're doing them both simultaneously, meaning we're doing, before we move the fence, we're doing each cut
Okay.
so that we're making them identical.
And we just walk it all the way to the edge so that we have the entire thing gone.
It's a little time consuming, but it's the correct way to do it.
You have to make sure when you have something like this that you are using the correct edge, and that you have everything nice and what do you call that? Straight?
Parallel, yes.
Parallel. Okay, so
Why is that moving?
Because
it's not locked.
Because
Okay.
we have to measure for
right.
the next one.
So
Okay.
that's what we're trying to decide now, how far to move the fence in for our next cut. A little bit more. Yeah, there. Looks good. And then we want to go ahead and,
You want to measure that one on that side too?
yeah, put this on this side to make sure this particular fence wiggles a little bit, so we have to make sure on both sides. There we go. And then we're flipping it over so that we know that we're cutting off this edge and not this edge. Ready?
Yep.
Kind of looks cool, actually, right?
Like a design.
Yeah.
Too bad it's coming off. That one went a little too.
It's all right.
It's thicker.
It's all right. So we're going to repeat that for the next couple of hours, and we'll be done.
Okay. So we are doing the long sides, and we're trying to make sure that we have enough of an opening that will match up with our sides.
Because we don't want to go all the way through because it will sew, right?
Right.
Right. And the curve of the blade, obviously, doesn't take out the entire piece if you don't go all the way to the end. So to avoid having a ramp there at the end where the mirror will not sit flush, we had to go a little beyond what we actually needed.
And so essentially we're wanting our channel to come up and meet with our board here. And so
Right.
that means we have to go a little bit beyond that to extend it. And that's where the curve is coming up. And so to accomplish that, we're kind of coming in at an angle, and then we're stopping
Yeah.
the blade.
So
before
let's
we finish
demonstrate
the board.
that. So flip this one over. Wrong way. Yep.
Yeah, this way.
So we put pieces of tape where we've made a guesstimate or a sort of measurement as to where we need to start. And so we put the edge of the board right next to the edge of the tape. And then when we turn on the saw, we're going to lower it down onto the blade. And my fingers are safe here because the blade is underneath the wood. It doesn't go through. And then we're gonna slide it all along until we get to...
And we use this grabber again to make sure we're being safe.
And then we're gonna go slowly until we get to right at the edge of this piece. And that's our stopping point. So we leave it here, we turn the blade off, the saw off, and then we let it come to a stop, and we lift it up, and we have stopped at the right mark. There it is.
So the next step is using a chisel and removing the little offcuts here. Now try to avoid hurting your fingers.
Yes, please.
They really should be reasonably easy to remove.
You don't want to dig into the wood. Right? This is the back, so even if...
Don't do it. When you make a mistake, just cut it. Don't try to pull it. Welcome to tomorrow. So we have cut everything to the correct dimension. We've made the channel for the mirror. So the next step will be to get it ready for assembly. And we have decided our two best options were really biscuits, not the yummy kind that you eat.
Right, they don't taste good.
But because of the channels, I don't think that's a good option. I think it will do damage to the wood and will not do anything for us. So the other option, of course, will be dowels, but I don't like dowels. So we're going to the true and tried pocket holes, right?
Yep.
So
These are not pocket holes. Pocket holes? Pocket
Yes.
screws.
Pocket holes.
Pocket holes with screws.
Yes.
Yeah.
The pocket screws go into the pocket holes.
They go together?
Yes. Otherwise it won't work.
They're a pair. Okay.
So, because this is going to be a finished piece, I'm going to first test that we're not going to go through our dimension, right? If that makes any sense. And then we are going to go ahead and make the positions of the holes and stain it, because you want to stain it before you assemble it.
Correct.
We do not need to stain the back unless you so desire.
No, it doesn't need to be stained.
So we're going to stain the front. This is the front of the piece, right?
Yep.
So we're going to stain the front and the sides, I'm sure. This side.
Yes, the tops and the bottoms.
I don't know if you want to stain this or not.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything that will show.
All right. Excellent. So let us do our test off camera. We're going to use 2 pieces of scrap and make sure that we do not go through the pieces, right?
Right.
And then we're going to do the pocket screws on the actual pieces and get right back with you. So we are in our first dry fit. This is our frame. You can clearly see, I hope, the channel we made for the mirrors.
Right.
And in our case, we decided that the short pieces will be the inside pieces, right?
Yep.
If you do it differently, the important thing is that you want to put your pocket screws where they do not show, right? So
Right.
you want to put them in the back of your short pieces,
Yep.
whichever ones are your short pieces, or the pieces that connect back to the other piece.
Yep.
If you make it the other way around, because potentially this mirror could be hung that way too, right?
Yeah.
It is a parallelogram, not a square.
So are we going to put 2 pocket screws?
Yeah, I think so.
They'll be kind of close together, but it should work. 2 for each corner, right?
Yeah. So let's position, and the other trick is make sure you put the pocket screws here, because this is the back side. Don't put them here,
Right.
unless you want to see them.
Right. And also try to, in this situation, you probably want to try to put them on the thickest part of the wood, right?
Right.
Not over here.
Correct. You shouldn't put it over here, actually.
Right.
It won't work. Make sure that your pocket holes are in the fatter part of the wood, not in your channel. And in our case, we're using the B and C holes of the Craig
Right.
to achieve that. And again, we're going to make 4. Very nice, right?
Yeah.
We're going to make 4 on each of the pieces.
It's important you make them again on the same side.
Yep.
Not yet. There.
And because we're staining, it makes sense to stain next. After we finish with the 4 pocket screws, holes. So we're not going to assemble it yet.
All right. All right, we'll repeat and come back with you.
Rinse and repeat. So at this point, you see how it looks with the pocket screws drawn. And this is a good place to make sure that this area is flat. You might need to come around to show what I'm showing. Because if there is a lift, you can break the mirror, right? So this should be able to go clear through. And do that in all 4 corners. And also do that after you attach the pocket screws to make sure nothing lifted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Show on this side.
if you
Yep.
there is a slight lip here, but it's not a lift, you know. And if we want, we can even get rid of that
Yeah.
lip.
You sand
I
it
don't
all
think
over.
that will break the mirror. It's less than a 16th.
Yeah.
This is just a deviation in our thickness here, right?
Yep.
What you didn't want, let me show you what you didn't want. You didn't want this, right?
Right.
But if the mirror stays here, it will break.
Right.
You can see there is a substantial difference
Yeah,
there.
it's about 1/4 of an inch, which is about what we decided to take off.
So that is an important thing, not to break your mirror, right? And again, we tested it now. We're going to go next and stain. We have to wait for the stain to dry. That's an important thing, and I should be renamed by Professional DIY to Mr. Impatience, right?
Oh, you already have that title.
No, I'm Professor DIY. That's my title. So, but in any case, one of the reasons we did this in 2 days versus our normal one is because we didn't want to rush it. This is going to be a finished project, right?
Yep.
It cannot be good enough. It has to be great. And I shouldn't have said that, should I? And we're preparing our table for the process of staining. Because it is cooler in the shop, we have the fans going, right? And Mrs. DIY, do you know what stain you're going to use?
I do.
Now, it doesn't have to be in assembly mode here, just, right?
Right. And I'm already putting them the side that I want to stain.
Right. And let Miss DIY talk to you about her preparation because she's the staining and painting expert.
Well, I don't know about expert. One thing I know is when staining, you don't want to stain the crosscut, right?
Okay.
You want to keep it all just on the surfaces that are going to be showing, especially if you're going to be gluing as you put things together. This is just a paper weight for us to hold down the plastic we've got. You want to make sure to protect your surface. We've got just a great big heavy-duty plastic trash bag that we've put down. Always wear gloves. That's my recommendation. Most stains are not too terribly difficult to wash off of skin, but it can be irritating as well. So it's best to protect as much of your nails and skin as you can, so that it's easier cleanup. Yeah, I usually do because these vinyl gloves or nitrile gloves, they tend to weaken as you use the stain. That's what we have today, so I'm going to use them.
And we're using a stain that matches our doors, the barn doors we built a couple of years ago, right?
Right, and this one is Poly Shades by Minwax. It's got stain and poly in one. And we're using the espresso color. At least I think we are, so I'm gonna do a little test piece on this.
And again, we're not sponsored by this.
Right.
We're just using it.
All right, I've got my paint key and I'm gonna open it up and stir it around. You do want to stir, not shake. Opposite of James Bond.
Which I presume was not drinking stain.
No, no. His martinis. And this one looks very interesting. I'm not even sure we can use this one.
Well, let's try.
Mm.
This is solid stain, so
We're not going to be
we are
using
not
this
using
one.
this one. I've never seen
it's
today
interesting.
solidified.
Me neither. That's crazy. Oh, must have gotten air or something.
I'm going to open the can and see if it is fully solid.
Yeah, you better do it with gloves on. All right.
So we have another kind of stain that is not solid, which is not the state of stain you prefer. You prefer liquid stain. Make sure to stir your stain very well, because the pigment has a tendency to collect on the bottom, right?
Yes.
There is a pigment and solvent in the stain, so even if it looks the color you think it should look, still it is a good practice to stir it fairly well. What do you think, for a minute or so? Or?
At least, yeah.
We like to use a piece of scrap and see how the stain looks, to make sure that what it looks like is what we want it to look, right?
Right.
And let the games begin. Now our preferred method is a wipe on, right?
Yeah.
Even though we can technically spray it on, Mrs. DIY is not very keen to spraying finishes. I like it, but it requires a little more prep and materials. It requires a spray gun and things, right?
Right.
So we're going to show you when it is all stained. So this is a case that we want this to be very aligned. But we want it aligned here, and we want it aligned in the bottom where our joint is. These special clamps help with that alignment, right?
Right.
They are not necessary. You can use another clamp. It's just that this is designed to do this.
Right. And they are the Craig brand, but again, we're not sponsored by Craig. They're
Correct.
just part of one of the kits that we have.
Yep.
Okay. And so now.
Okay. I don't know why it is not
Well,
moving.
your clamp is in the way.
That would be why it doesn't work. Also was on reverse.
Ah, details, right? Details.
All right, so let's turn it around now. The next step is decorative for us, but if you don't have pocket screws, that can be your strength, right? That could be the way you attach them. Because we have 2 screws on each point, and this is metal.
Okay.
And if you want, you can buy even wider.
Yeah, they have wider, they have longer, so it could actually brace the entire corner. I mean, for effect, you could do, for example, the outside angle and also the inside angle, something like this.
Yeah.
It's just what your aesthetic is. For us, it's just a nice piece of hardware to make it a little bit more rustic.
Okay.
Okay.
Just a quick view of the whole frame so far. Looking really good.
Excellent.
Okay. So now that we've decided on placement for our application, we're going to do some pilot holes just to make sure that our screws don't split the wood after all of this hard work.
We're doing pilot holes because you cannot pre-drill.
Right.
One is to drill, you're drilled.
Right. Just like there's no such thing as unsweetened tea.
Right.
It's either sweet or it's tea.
They're all on backwards.
Okay.
You want to not to put too much because you don't want to
Right.
cut the reheat you off. The color doohickey.
The color doohickey?
Yeah,
That's the technical term?
that's the technical term.
And again, not going too deep, just enough to give the...
Just opening up the surface of the
Right.
wood.
High-tech chip removal.
Yes.
Again, this will be sufficient to hold the mirror if you have no other way of connecting it, right?
Yeah. Here we go. First bracket installed, 3 more to go.
So after we placed the first bracket, we decided that we could use a story stick, if you will. And what could we find that would mimic this angle and the dimension, the placement? And so, actually it's this way, right? And so we used our, what do you call this, a square?
Yeah.
And we put it in there and said, okay, well, the skinnier part of the square is a 1/2 inch away from the edge. But this one is really perfect right on the edge of the frame.
It's right
You can
at
see the
10.
deviation, yeah.
Yeah.
10 millimeters.
Okay. So we're going to take that over to the next corner. And of course we have to flip it because
Right, we're mirroring that
we're
placement.
mirroring it. And we're going right to the edge with the big side.
Mhm.
We've got about that 1/2 inch there.
Mhm.
And then we're going to take our next bracket and put it right, nestle it right up in there. And that's where we're going to attach it.
Right. And again, we'll do those pilot holes and then use the screws. Okay, so after we assembled, we realized there were a couple of spots that we missed with the stain, so we're going to go back and touch those up.
And frankly, these areas will be hard to see because it's fairly close to the wall, right?
There, yeah, but this one's
That
pretty...
one will be visible, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and these edges, of course, would be very close to the wall. It's very difficult to see. It's really just more of a, we know about it. But this one for sure, because it's on the inside rim of the mirror placement, would be very, very visible. So we're going to take care of those, and then we'll come back and show you how we're putting the mirror together. Here we are doing our dry fit now that it
You
is
above for a
assembled.
moment. No, where you were, but outside the lid. So we're doing the dry fit, and we have a couple of small decisions to make, but it does fit in the area,
Yep.
and that's the important thing.
So this shows you how details matter. Just this little edge here, and also that far edge that's now complete, and the other little pieces that have been missing, and then in terms of stain, and now the big overview. All right, so we're back in the bathroom area where we need to hang this mirror, and it's a pretty tight space. And so what we have done is measured from side to side where we want to place our screws, and we're allowing for a little bit of give on either side of the mirror. It's just a very slight distance that's going to be on either side of the mirror, and we're going to bring in the laser level and set it up. We've also decided the distance from the bottom of our light fixture where we want the screws to come down, and we're going to set 2, one on either side, and then we'll bring in that mirror, and that wire should come down on them and hold.
Well, friends, never say a project is easy. Never say a project will take a couple of hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
We started this project yesterday, and in my mind, that was an easy couple of hour project. And clearly, we didn't finish it yesterday. And today, I thought it would be maybe another hour and we'll be done. And it wasn't. I was wrong. We like the outcome. The end result is very nice. Here's the mirror hang. We learned a lot in the process, right? We made mistakes. We fixed mistakes, which, by the way, is the secret to being a good craftsman. Everyone makes mistakes. The question is, can you fix them? If you can fix them, there's no issue, right? So, again, we told you many different ways that you can adjust that to fit your decor and your like. But for us, this is a very good result. This is what we're looking for. And it really matches our...
Ties in the barn door.
Right, that was the whole idea of the specific stain. Now, ladies, what did we learn?
projects never take as long
Measurements
as
are
you think they are.
important.
No, we did not measure. That was not a measurement error. That was a arithmetic error. We measured correctly, actually. We miscalculated. So that's why you don't measure, actually. Had we used story sticks, we would have had it fit perfectly the first time.
But we would have had to take the mirror out.
Yeah, but that was okay. We had the mirror. We just didn't think of it. Mm-hmm. But in any case, this is just us rambling because I made some very basic arithmetical errors and we had to adapt. But in the process, we have this nice reveal that is very, very hard to achieve unless you make a mistake. And then it's easy to achieve, right?
And honestly, if we didn't tell you we made a mistake, you'd never know because...
Right. And I think that's the difference. A lot of YouTubers pretend that they are perfect and everything works the first time. That is just a lie. No one is perfect. Very few times things work the first time. And you can take a mistake and turn it into a feature. And really the way we end up doing it was a simpler way to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, have we designed it in the beginning the way we did it, we would be done in 2 hours yesterday.
Yeah, because what took a lot of time was those channels to
Right.
do the... Yeah.
We
the
were
research.
trying to do it the tradition, which doesn't always mean that's the best.
That usually means find a better way to do it. That was traditional means. All right. Well, the cost, we didn't increase any of our costs because of our mistake, right? We used scrap wood for the additional wood we needed. Mm-hmm. And luckily, we did not break the mirror. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was the big
So
thing.
the mirror was $5, and how much was the wood?
It was about $16.
Okay, so...
2 boards.
You cannot buy it for
Oh, no.
$20.
And then
There is
what
no-
about the brackets?
The
Another,
brackets were
Okay,
so $25.
$25, yeah,
I challenge you, anyone, in the comments,
right.
put a listing of a mirror this size,
Custom, yeah.
custom, for $25. I don't think it's possible. In any case, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We definitely had our moments of enjoyment and some moments of frustration, right? But if you did, we would appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know. Do you want to see more custom built episodes like this? And even though something looks as simple as this, we learn it can be a long project, right? Really, even without our mistake and a better design, we could have finished in a few hours. But now we know for the next mirror we're going to build, right? I mean, that's how you learn, by doing and making and messing up.
Okay.
From Professor DIY, Miss DIY and Elpida, let's build something together.